let's talk about blockchain technology and how it can be classified as this disruptive innovation that is having an impact on, a broad spectrum of industries, from health, AI, digital identities, all the way to the creative industries. And I'm really honored to be here today with these group of amazing forward thinkers that are taking distributed ledger technology and creating blockchain initiatives that are creating and breeding jobs of the future. But before we jump and dive deep into this showcase, I just want to give each of the panelists a moment just to introduce themselves and their organization. And Nicole, I'll start with you.
Hi, Nicole Crivelli. Actually, I'm a relatively newbie to the blockchain space. I've been in corporate for much of my career in e-commerce, digital marketing, project delivery of technology projects. So I joined Grande Experiences, who are global leaders in multi-sensory digital art, immersive experiences, and my role is to lead the NFT side of the business for Grande.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ilya. Please feel free to call me Phil, and I'm a co-founder and CEO of GBC.AI. That means Guardians of the Blockchain.ai. We are the first company who has successfully implemented artificial intelligence to the core level of the blockchain, and we implement AI solutions within the blockchain industry. Thank you.
Hi everybody, nice to be here. My name is Blair Crawford, founder and CEO of a biometric digital identity company called Daltrey, specialising really in how we can secure digital assets and how we can apply technologies like biometrics to fix some of the underlying problems that exist within digital asset ownership. So yeah, looking forward to the chat.
Hey everyone, my name's Damien. You could probably describe me as a crypto native. So I heard about Bitcoin in 2011, bought my first mining rig in 2012 and started mining out of the bedroom. And so I've been around the industry for quite a while. I wrote a white paper around decentralization and incentivized health in 2018, and that turned into the company we have today, which is called PUML. And we basically are a move to earn platform. Can talk a little bit more about that today.
All right, thank you very much. So starting off with scalability, to be in the topic, Phil, I'm going to start off with a question for yourself. So scalability is a major challenge with the blockchain industry despite the recent successes. How can AI help solve adaptability and scaling problems within the industry?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's really a great question. And to answer that, I would like to cover a little bit how blockchain works. I mean, it's very solid structure, but out of that comes an issue of adaptability. At this moment, blockchain has no means to adapt to changing conditions. Once the network has been launched, it's very hard to implement some changes. In most cases, you're required to make a soft fork or a hard fork, and anyway, that requires consensus from various actors within the blockchain industry. So with the use of artificial intelligence, it is possible to make blockchain adaptable and scalable. Within machine learning algorithms, it is possible to train them to react to some situations that is happening during blockchain's operation. So depending on what is really happening at this moment, depending on amount of transactions, amount of smart contracts being used, amount of the activity within the blockchain, it is possible to change settings in real time so that blockchain become adaptable. And this way, of course, it provides much greater scaling opportunities because, well, within the industry, it is currently the consensus that even most modern blockchains are not ready for mass adoption, let's say. It is impossible right now to put everything they want to put on the blockchain and to make it work straight away. So we are actually solving that issue with the means of AI. Thank you.
That's really exciting. I teach the advanced diploma of applied blockchain, so I'd love to get you maybe showcasing that to some of my students. Nicole, next question is for you. So it's no secret that 2021 was the year that NFTs exploded. And you're working with artists. So my question is, what are some of the opportunities for artists to be able to pursue their passion by generating, an income through the NFT space?
Thanks, Danielle. Yeah, there's no doubt that NFTs are really providing a real opportunity for artists to supplement their income, or for it to eventually become their mainstream of income. And it means for them that they don't have to do these part-time jobs. They can pursue their passion with their art, and they can really generate additional income, and for some quite a significant amount. I think because of the explosion in the whole NFT space, it's also becoming harder and harder to stand out in the crowd, and this is where the opportunity exists. So for an artist now, if you want to launch an NFT project, you need to know how to be a social media manager, how to be a PR agent, how to be a financial person, let alone navigate the whole process in that decentralised space in terms of loading up your NFT to be able to sell. So I think there's a real opportunity for businesses and agencies to help support these artists in their process and try to get that cut through. So any Web 2 or Web 3 agencies out there, I think there's a massive opportunity to help support our artists. And that's one of the things that we're doing from a Grande perspective, is working with street artists. We're launching Street Art Alive, which is a digital immersion experience, at the end of April in LA. And as part of that process, incorporating an NFT lounge to introduce NFTs to a much broader audience to promote the art of our street artists.
Such an exciting project. I'm looking forward to learning more about it. So that actually leads me into my next question for you, Damien. The NFT ecosystem is so diverse and, offering its ranges of use cases. What would you currently say is working in this space and what's not?
Yeah, well, I've been, I suppose, investing in NFTs, but a little bit late to the game. But yeah, probably September, August last year, sort of to put more time into it. And there's been some interesting trends, I think, and it's moving quite quickly. But personally, I'm looking for any NFT that has a DAO. So that's the most exciting thing. It's obviously the latest version of a co-op or a company, so you can take a percentage of earnings back. So NFTs provide utility in the way of earning capabilities or access to things. Bored Ape is obviously front and center for everyone, but I would say conversely to that, you wouldn't want to invest in like an NFT that was simply a JPEG, no utility, no DAO, no nothing there. And they're the ones that will typically be rug pulls because people will lose interest. There's no roadmap or things like that. So I think always look at, is there a DAO? Is the code written there? And then community is everything. So, what's a Discord? Is it bots? Is it not bots? Follow people on Twitter. So I think you can't launch an NFT project without having a really strong community. So community, DAO, you're good.
Yeah, 100%. Well said. All right, we're going to switch it up now and go to digital identities. So I'm going to switch it over to you, Blair. So digital assets do play a significant role in our today's financial ecosystem. What role do you see digital identities in playing in securing digital assets?
Yeah, for me, as I said at the beginning here, I look at biometrics and how it can be applied to security, traditionally cybersecurity. A lot of the opportunities which we're now working with companies on right now who, for example, mine Bitcoin, is how to fix some of the underlying cybersecurity risks associated with them protecting the assets, which, for example, they're mining. But we're also looking at some of the inherent risks associated with digital asset ownership. So, for example, everybody's probably got a wallet here. We know that there is a seed phrase, which if someone gets it, can unwind your own ability to claim claim that which is within that wallet. So that conversation around how can we apply a digital identity to the protection of things in our wallet and not all of a sudden be completely reliant on just the seed phrase itself. There's a whole lot of work there. And I think one of the things which has become very apparent in the very early days, people were holding, their seed phrase on a bit of paper, and it might be in the sock drawer or something like that, and the assets are probably worth a couple of $100. But all of a sudden you've got assets, CryptoPunks, Bored Apes, Bitcoin. It's not really that great to be holding your seed phrase in your sock drawer anymore. So what is the methodology which we have to apply in order to have identity coupled to the underlying and intrinsic value that our digital assets have? So there is no straight answer to this. We're obviously kind of at the beginning of a fast-growing and emerging ecosystem, but there is something there to be played on. And I think in order to achieve the adoption and the penetration that we all believe digital assets and the digital asset economy can represent, identity and cybersecurity principles have to start overlapping into that journey.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to go back to Damien since we're on that side, and then we'll shift back to this side. So we're talking about NFTs, but let's all be honest, metaverses are the next big thing that everyone's talking about, and even myself in the middle of building an education hub inside of a metaverse. So there's really cool things that are happening. And I know that you're in the health space, so can you kind of give us a little bit of idea on how you feel that the metaverse industry is going to have an impact on the fitness industry?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a huge opportunity, but at the same time, there's a cost to people's health. We don't know where the metaverse is going, but we do know that Zuckerberg has invested a lot of money in it, and we know everyone is putting their attention towards it. So over the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to see more and more people perhaps not moving as much as they were before. And so it's imperative, particularly if you've got children like me, you want your kids to be active. And so it's trying to be balanced. And I think the opportunity for fitness companies is to have move to earn games within the fitness metaverse. And ultimately that's what PUML is building on our roadmap. We are a API where game developers can plug in and they can basically reward people for burning calories on their Oculus, or we really don't know what other smart devices and wearables that will come, but they will be coming and they will relate to our own health. So I think trying to get that balance right of connecting the physical with the digital is really important.
I really like that move to earn. I have a learn to earn, so I think everyone's rolling on that trend, move, learn, and earn. So I'm gonna go back over to Phil, and can you maybe spin off of that and see how you think AI and the metaverse are going to potentially kind of work together, and also what are some use cases currently with AI and blockchain?
Currently AI exposure within the blockchain is pretty limited. AI is used for security audit. AI is used for DeFi industry, like lending pool optimization and generally getting higher yields or APYs. But it's a great question about how AI can be used within metaverses specifically. If we consider that metaverses relies on the blockchain themselves, then it is very important that blockchain is able to carry everything that is happening within the metaverse. So this way, blockchain should be secure, blockchain should be fast, and here are the cases of AI. Beside that, it is very important that AI can be used for game modeling or for metaverses modeling. For example, if within a metaverse you have different NFTs that can be merged together to get something else, normally it provides a great number of possibilities that is very hard to predict what will happen within, let's say, a year or within 2 years. But with AI, it is possible to model such situation and predict and prevent some issues that you would not want to happen.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to switch back over here to Nicole, and we're talking about the metaverses and the NFT space, but recently I've actually found myself having quite a few discussions with businesses and galleries and inquiring how they're actually going to take and integrate the physical art world into the NFT art world. So can you spread some light on how your organization kind of sees how they're going to, integrate or interoperate the off-chain art world with the on-chain world?
Thanks. It is an interesting question and one that we're looking to test and learn. And I think that's, I guess, one of the messages, the only way we're ever going to find out, I don't know if there's a solution, but is to test, learn, and then retry. So one of the things that we're doing as part of our Street Art Alive launch in LA is setting up a NFT lounge. We'll be showcasing on screens, on particular screens that are actually built for NFTs, the digital animations that are NFTs to be sold, and having people on site to help people in the real world on board into the NFT world, helping them navigate that process, telling them about the art, but also providing utilities to our art in the form of ticketing, access to merchandise. Longer term, we are looking at opportunities for airdrops and freebies to help people on board into the NFT space. So we're trying to, introduce NFTs to a broader audience and help them on board into the NFT world.
And it's all about education.
Yeah.
All right. Just before we wrap it up, I've got one more question for you, Blair. So how do you see the user's mind shifting outside of this room? Because let's be honest, everyone inside this room, we don't need our mindsets to shift. But by managing privacy and security requirements and no longer on relying on these big tech companies to manage and protect our data and kind of looking at to how our data is being used, why it's being used, and how they can have control over their data.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of how we've ended up here in terms of decentralization, decentralized finance, having our own identity ownership, really focusing on consent. A lot of it's been driven because there has been so much scope creep with the companies who we have trusted with our data historically. It's multifaceted, we can't cover all of it now. But one of the things which I'm particularly interested in is how much of that scope creep has led to the current way that we're thinking. But also, I think people's mind shift is occurring because they if you look at the COVID check-ins, everyone lost their minds. We're being tracked by the government or all this type of stuff. But probably in the same period, there was that app that was released where people could take a selfie and make themselves 50 years older. And for some reason, that all seemed fine. No one asked any questions about where the data was going. It was probably being used to train some sort of giant facial recognition algorithm. But the government is tracking us. And that whole thing needs to be picked apart a little bit. We do have to ask more questions, but I do think we've been influenced quite a lot by some of the mainstream media in terms of what things are happening, what things are not happening. So to summarize what I think we should do as individuals, ask more questions of the companies which we're interacting with. Where is my data going? What is the scope of that data? And how am I protected against scope creep? And I think the other thing that we have to do is to say, I may be happy giving my data up for X, Y, and Z use, but at least question whether the value you get back from that organization justifies the extent to which you give up your data. So I think there's a lot of fluidity in that, but certainly starts with asking more questions and being responsible for our passwords, our digital identity online, and how we conduct our investigation of the services we interact with.
Thank you. Now, Steve is looking at me, and so I was going to ask all the panelists this question, but I will just sum it up because, Damien, you've been in the space for a little bit, so you might be able to kind of shed some light. So technology is rapidly improving, offering new innovations and revolutionary projects every year coming to this space. What advice do you have for anybody that is new and wants to create an opportunity in creating a startup in the emerging tech space?
Yeah, I think every day there's a new opportunity. Like, NFTs 12, 18 months ago, no one knew about. Web3, no one knew about. It's obviously just rebranding blockchain and crypto, but you know what I mean? There's new things every day. And so I encourage everyone just to start, okay? Start with that education piece. And then, you just go to strength and strength if you're staying online and in the community.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the panelists and all of the audience for being so patient. We've got lunch coming up. And I'll just say, anyone who's interested in education, please come speak to me.